Welcome to Fantastic Females, our adventure to finding the mythical island of freedom together. I'm Kalyani.
And I'm Rupali. We are your next door finance experts sharing our experiences in the world of money and energetics.
Hello and
Hi,
welcome
everyone.
Hi. Welcome to our first episode in 2023. Hope you've all had a great December since we left off and a great start to the year.
It's been a good break, a very welcome break. As we said, we would take a break just to create space to kind of consolidate what we'd like to do, to be the best kind of for you and for ourselves. And so here we are.
Yeah, perfect. Today we'll be talking a little bit about everything that comes under the subjects of beliefs, belief systems, and then also as an extension, setting intentions for the year. It is 20th of January, but there is no kind of timeline on when you could be working on this. The new year is just a reminder for working on ourselves and working on these topics that are important. So we'll be talking about a few things today that are of interest to us. The first one being what we call as the January effect. So let's talk a little bit about spending patterns around December. And some people find December to be a very long month. Some people find January to be a very long month. How have you kind of navigated through this, Rupali?
I think it's interesting when we link so much to the calendar, right? I think over the years, I've stopped linking as much to the calendar personally. But I think what I've seen is a lot of stress. I'm seeing January fatigue. I'm seeing in terms of people and their budgets, like, the spending that goes on during Christmas. We've kind of elaborated on that in our previous episodes and on our social media around mindful spending. And you can always show your loved ones love in many, many different ways. And so how I'm navigating it is without the pressure. I've intentionally kind of decided to not put that pressure on myself about resolutions. It's more intentions for me. And for those of you that wonder what's the difference between an intention and a resolution, how I look at it is a resolution is more something that is very limiting, something specific, or something where you feel the stress in your body when you think of it, versus an intention where it feels exciting, it feels broad enough to achieve a lot. And so my intentions are what kind of excite me. And so I'm not sure I've experienced that January fatigue that many people do personally. What about you?
That's quite nice to hear. If you talk about fatigue right now, I think for me, I fell really badly sick. For people who don't know, I don't usually fall sick, and I think there was a little bit of pride associated to that, which has come crashing down. I don't remember ever getting such a bad flu as I've had in the last 2 weeks. So fatigue has a very physical connotation for me right now. I know what you're saying about the whole pressure around starting something new, doing it really well, and I do feel it, I think. And for me, I think you'll resonate with this, Rupali. For you and me, generally the expenses that we want to make, that we are either tempted to do, tempted to make, or we're justifying for ourselves, tend to be in the personal growth space. So we're always looking at courses, being in this information economy that knows us as their perfect kind of target audience doesn't help. So we always have a couple of things that we've kind of got on the roster. And since the Black Friday period, end of November, it feels like a lot of good deals have gone up on things that we had our eyes on. So I feel a lot of fatigue around that consideration, that process of decision making. And I had a funny thought. I don't know if I've shared it previously on the podcast, but there's a mixer called Thermomix that I really wanted since back in 2014 or something, and I never got it because it's about 5,500, 6,000 dirhams, and I could never justify that price. And recently, I think I had a realization that amongst all the courses in just the last 2 years, I think I could have bought maybe about 5 at least to 7 Thermomix blenders, which is just a fun way to kind of think about things. Sometimes you think that you can't afford things or you can't justify them, whereas there are other things that you would happily spend on. I was also reminded of this recently as my friends were having a discussion about a bag, and again I found myself checking the price and just kind of getting a bit shocked and taken aback by the price tag, which I don't think I would ever pay for a bag. But again, I've paid that amount for courses easily, and they really added to me. So in that sense, I feel like leaving the anecdotes and jokes aside, I feel pretty tired about that decision-making process, I think. So for me, the next few weeks are going to look like a lot of execution, a lot of just action. And we were talking about this just today, right, Rupali, outside of the podcast.
Yes, it's interesting you mentioned that because that's been on my mind too. So while I say I'm not like caught up with these resolutions, I am very much so caught up with wanting to like learn it all, and like you mentioned, personal growth, and there's no kind of thought that goes behind the price of a course, and so we just go for it because we're like, no, we must do this. And this is the discussion we had, right? That okay, at least until June. I mean, I said June, I should have said December probably, but at least until June, no new courses for me. As someone who's doing 3 courses in parallel currently and listening to 2 audiobooks and a few podcasts and all of that, I think I need a break to kind of just, I think Kalyani and I have some exciting plans for Fantastic Females. We want to really deliver knowledge in a way that has probably not been seen before. We are both really passionate about it, and so that's the conversation we had this morning, where we said, let's put things into action and just go for it. And so we're excited to be doing that. And that's one of our key intentions for this year.
Yeah, and I think Fantastic Females is a big part of this because somewhere this course mentality or signing up mentality, as valuable as it is to our lives, and we have come richer from every course that we've taken. I think there's a little bit of finding a solution in the next thing. Like, this is going to teach me something that I don't know before, or this is the answer that I've been looking for. That kind of mentality in whatever way you decide to frame it. And I don't think I'm feeling that anymore. I feel a lot more kind of self-assured in where I am right now. And part of that has been the whole Fantastic Female journey in terms of just starting with all the knowledge that we know and building on that. And I think it's given both of us a lot of hindsight to look at all the topics that we've been able to speak on without literally any research. It all came from what we knew already. Which means that we had all this already. We could have easily signed up for a course to do a podcast, to start a podcast. And I'm glad that we didn't, because this has been a lot nicer, a lot more kind of organic, and that I think that Fantastic Females has changed it for me a little bit. So I'll be taking this energy into 2023. It feels really good to be more self-assured and more self-reliant.
Yeah, I mean, you and I have achieved so much in life. We've kind of, in our personal and corporate and business space, we've done so much. So I think it's nice that we have a check-in every now and then and say, wait a second, is me trying to always catch up to the new things out there? Is that lack mentality? And so we catch ourselves in that, and so I think I'm so grateful to have, us, the dynamic we have, and this platform to even like talk through these things. So it's really amazing. And I think that brings me to our intentions for the year that we've kind of set for ourselves. And so, Kalyani, what are your intentions for 2023?
Yeah, my intention is pretty clear actually. For me, I want to focus on the word for 2023 for me is stability. And the overarching intention is stability with ease and joy. So it's not a very inflexible, stuck kind of stability, that could come from stagnancy almost. It's a very happy stability after all the growth that I've taken, I feel, in the last 2 years. So I'm quite excited about that.
So for me, it's also ease and flow, because I think I keep getting stuck in a cycle of believing that it requires hard work when actually nothing ever does, and all the fun stuff does not require hard work. And when you're enjoying it, then it's not work, right? So ease, flow, and the third one for me is intentional action and intentional schedule. So that means do what feels right to me, and spend my time very intentionally instead of being bound by social kind of expectations or any other different types of expectations. I want my year to be very intentional is kind of the aim.
That's really nice to hear. When you mentioned hard work, this is such a big one for us, because I think all of us have been brought up with the mentality of if you don't work hard, you don't get anywhere. I mean, if hard work was the only parameter of success, then people who work on building roads would probably be paid a lot more than us. Garbage collection would probably be the highest paid job around, and so on, which is not the case. So I think as important as the attribute is to teach to our kids while growing up, I think there's a lot more to it. And some of us have taken it so seriously, myself included, that in the last 2 weeks, like I said, I was sick, and I'm still not 100%. But it's such a struggle for me to give up control or to accept that I need to rest. So for the first time ever, I had to give up on everything for a good 6 days and just rest in bed. My body needed 15-16 hours of sleep a day, and it was a real struggle in terms of almost justifying to myself that I wasn't being very productive. If my son was okay, he was absolutely fine. He was being looked after by other members of the family. But it's that relinquishing of control or the constant productivity that I think we're also addicted to. So that I find something that's a recurring theme. And this came up when I first left my corporate career, and I was the boss of my own time pretty much. So that meant that I could drive my agenda, I could plan my day, which is super relieving. But also for someone who's been brought up with this fierce mentality of productivity, I found it very hard to follow the rhythms of my body, to follow my energy rhythms during the day, to the point that there was almost, pride around I never take an hour off in the day. I never find myself watching Netflix in the day. Who does that? So in effect, I had the freedom of time, but I was still continuing to operate from a space where I didn't have freedom of time, and I had imposed that on myself. So I feel like that's kind of been my journey, and till now everyone's like, oh, make sure you rest enough, and I'm questioning how much is enough rest, I think I've rested enough. And there's almost this connotation about have I earned it. Rest is always followed by rest is always a follow-up after hard work. So a season of hard work and then rest. Whereas I don't feel like I've worked hard. And when you start doubting things like this, then I feel like there's no end in terms of what is enough hard work. Then, I mean, you could drive yourself in the ground by working 20 hours a day, and maybe even that's not enough. In some cultures, let's say in Malaysia, Japan, we hear of stories like this. So yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned it. And it is important to work hard, to be accountable, to be productive, but it needs to be done in a way that is actually serving you and that's not forcing you into something that's not natural.
Yeah, I agree. I think we all fall for this. I think this industrial revolution, I mean, that's what that resulted in, right? Us all kind of wanting to work, and then our parents, immigrants, all sorts of different stories, their hard work, their mindset, all of it kind of pulls into us. And what I've really learned to kind of accept and embody is that rest is productive, and I do not need to always be on this go, this hustle culture. It's not something that I like. It's not something that works for me. Like you said, while working hard is super, it's important, and hard is also relative, because someone may consider working 2 hours a day hard. And, so it's all kind of what works for you. And ultimately, that's what gives you the freedom to grow. If we chain ourselves through time, through, whatever it is, then that's kind of a little counterintuitive. And I'd like to link it back to, the conversation around alternate sources of income, building a base, investments in different aspects. Your course, the Investor Starter, is a good way to start that. And I think that's where, when you do have a few streams of income, that's kind of then working smart, not hard. And you then are able to switch off and say, no, wait a second, actually, it's not, my time is not linked to anything else. I can actually just take 3 weeks off because I want to, not because my body has officially shut down, but just it's a choice then, right? So I think that's kind of important. Obviously it's different for different people. I mean, I'm working in a full-time corporate job, which I really enjoy. The work, the stimulation, the team, it's all really like engaging and interesting. But I think a lot of people you see them trading their time for money, and is the salary worth it? Is the question you have to ask yourself. And there are ways to get around it. It may take 3 to 6 months, but there are ways.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of negative chat about being in jobs for a salary as well. So I would like to bring up the point that there's no shame in wanting to pay your bills with a stable salary, and that's the choice that some people have. But if it is something that is really not serving you, then we just mean to open your eyes up to other options available. And what we find a lot around us, even in our personal relationships, is people find it very easy to carry on complaining about a situation that doesn't serve them or that they're not happy about, but you don't see them taking actions in accordance to the complaints. I mean, in comparison to the complaining, the time spent on the solution is very little. Which I think both Rupali and I don't fully relate with, because we both are quite proactive. So this podcast or my course, Trading Mum, whatever we are putting out there, does not mean to belittle anyone's situation about wanting to be in a situation, whether it's a job or a relationship, but just opening up other avenues of thinking and developing a stream of passive income that could alleviate some pressure. Talking about
a lot of it is to do just the last point, a lot of it is to do with mindset, of believing that this is where I have to be, this is where I am, I'm stuck. It's that typical lack mentality that we want to move away from. And how do you move away from it is to learn about what you can do, being aware, as Kalyani said. So that's really what I wanted to highlight.
Yes, absolutely. And just to give you a little bit of a teaser into what we're putting together is workshops that basically take you from mindset work into actual nitty-gritty of investing. So we're kind of just packaging it together and putting it in a way that's really exciting for us to deliver and for you to consume. But that's something that's coming up. Please keep your ears peeled. We'll let you know when we're ready to share more details. So I think maybe it's a good time to bring up markets. We haven't discussed markets for 4 weeks now. And it feels like a lot has happened, but not too much has happened as well. The markets have a lot of resistance. I feel like they want to break out, but there are powerful forces that are keeping it in check because of whatever reasons. And what I want to highlight right now is in December, there was a lot of speculation. There was continuing talk about inflation, interest rates, and then there was an expected Santa Claus rally in the last week, which didn't happen, by the way. And then this year started with a lot of optimism. People started analyzing why that's happening. In the last 2 days, we've seen the market really tank down. We're recording this on the 20th, so I'm referring to 18th and 19th of January. What I want to say is, what if there was a world where you didn't have to depend on news to make your investment decisions? And this is what I truly try and teach anyone who comes through Trading Mum for my sessions, or through to the course, which is Investing Starter. And there is a sustainable way for you to be able to see the charts and understand what's going on. Of course, there are macro influences that you do need to be aware of, but there's something that I think is key to understand here, where there's a phenomenon of collective reality versus individual reality. So the collective reality may be going through a lot of fear and anxiety currently about an impending recession, so-called, etc. But your individual reality can be very different. Like we've mentioned before, people who were invested in energy stocks, for example, last year, have seen their portfolio grow by maybe even 30% in the year. So basically, what you're exposed to in your personal reality could be very different to your collective reality. And I find that it's up to yourselves to kind of build that bubble. And the social media algorithms always feed into this as well. So that's something to be mindful of. I hope I'm making sense in terms of what I'm trying to say. Maybe Rupali, you can add to it, and then I'll explain more.
Sure. I think what I take from that whole conversation is that markets are going to move up and down. It is really in our control. What we consume, what we think, our mindset, believe it or not, is in our control, and we can take steps towards a better, more constructive, abundant mindset. I know we really harp on about this, but the two of us really, really do kind of believe in this and live it. And so that's why you will hear these words quite a bit. And it's kind of had a life-changing impact on my life. And so that's why I'm quite passionate about it. And so what you consume, what information you consume, who you talk to, your Instagram, your social media, your WhatsApp. I mean, there's countless WhatsApp groups telling you doom and gloom. You get those, what do you call them? Those people who are creating bunkers for the day the world ends. You get those people, you get, I mean, you can live the reality you'd like to, and so please choose wisely. And having said that, market timing is not possible. No one knows anything. No one can predict it. But all we do know is that it's important to be in the market in whichever way, shape, or form that works. How you do it is something that is very much dependent on your situation, which is what we here to guide you through our group coaching model. And so that's kind of what I took from that.
Yeah, I think I wanted to bring two things up. One is the fact that whether it's Trading Mum or Fantastic Females, we want you to feel confident in your own analysis. And I think I have been a direct kind of victim, I would say, of trusting other people with their convictions. So back in 2020, 2021, when I was just learning the ropes of investing, I used to follow a few mentors, and I thought I was hedging my risks by not following one. And not going into too much detail, but one of them had a few 100,000 followers on social media. I think he had more than 1 million on social media, but on the paid community, he had a few 100,000. And so you kind of base your confidence in their conviction on these numbers that are following him. And these numbers are nothing but sheep who follow a shepherd, right? It's very much herd mentality, which is also what you see in the wider market. And one of the things that he kind of was really bullish on was Tesla back in 2021. So I own Tesla shares from November 2021, which was probably the worst time to buy Tesla shares. And they have come down by easily, I think, 60%. And I have been dollar cost averaging. So I have been buying more into Tesla to bring my average price per share down. But that is also counterintuitive because I'm not very convinced about Tesla's future. So, as an example, this is something that is going to stay on my portfolio for maybe 3 to 5 years until I recover value and I'm ready to let it go. Luckily, I don't need the funds until then. But if I did, then I would be taking a hit on my investment and exiting. But it continues to be a reminder for me to not base my convictions on anyone. And if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel lost, then we're there to help you. And that's a skill that I think is key for everyone to build. And then the second thing I wanted to highlight, which I mentioned before, is not to play into the doom and gloom or the paranoia that might be around us in terms of individual reality versus collective reality. And this is something that we repeatedly mention. Hopefully everything that we say adds to your confidence about being a little contrarian, being different to the crowds and breaking away from the herd. It's probably the smartest thing that you can do. So, like Rupali said, it's important to be in the market. And something that stuck with me is a quote by my mentor, one of my current mentors, who says, time in the market is more important than timing the market. Because no one really knows how to time the market. No one really knows what's going to happen the next day. But if you're in valuable companies and if you're patient enough to stay on, then the markets are going to give you the returns.
Something I heard just today actually is there was a survey that was done, and this point highlights that no one really knows what's happening and people don't know what even they think, is that there was a survey that was done with investment professionals, and 80% of these people predicted that stock markets are going to go up in 2023. However, 80% of them also predicted a recession. So, I mean,
typical.
So, yeah. So basically, it's important to understand what you're getting into, what you kind of have that knowledge for yourself. Don't chase what other people are saying, because no one really knows, no matter how well they pretend. And we see it this year, where last year markets were down. This year markets are up economically. Last year, bad news was meant to be good news because that means less interest rate hikes. This year, bad news is being taken as bad news, where markets are actually going down. And so it's becoming very confusing. Some switch has flipped on 31st of December and it's all kind of turned around, with markets being up 5-6% this year already. It is confusing, but this is why, You need to upskill yourself if you'd like to go down this route. Upskill yourself. Ask yourself the question, where would I like to be in 3 to 6 months? And is it possible for me to know the basics of investing in 3 to 6 months? Absolutely, yes. I mean, you have so many ways to do this. I keep going on about this course because it's built through experience of Kalyani. It's not something she's just taken from someone or whatever it is. She's experienced it, she's living it. And so that's her take on it. And so that's why it's a really good place to start.
If anything, I mean, we go through school, college, we go through about 15, 17 years of education. But
yeah.
None of us wants to spend 3 to 6 months to learn how to make money from the money that we're earning. It just sounds, it's totally crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think it's all about being intentional, right? And having that aim in mind and knowing where you'd like to be and taking steps towards that. So I think to kind of end this episode in terms of what we're thinking is, we've shared our intentions. Take a step back, think about where you'd like to be financially, in terms of your mindset, in terms of your life situation. Think about what your intentions are for 2023. And if you are still confused about what the difference between intention and resolutions are, go ahead to our social media. We do kind of share information on there, on all social media platforms.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing from you. The best way to reach us is through DMs on Instagram at Fantastic Females. And we'll be back next week, back to usual programming of coming here and chatting every week. Hope you have a good week and speak soon.
So with that, we bring this episode of our financial adventure to an end. Please follow us on all social media platforms at Fantastic Females.
None of the information provided is financial advice, and Fantastic Females is not a financial advisor.
The information provided is educational only. It is general in nature and does not take into account your personal circumstances.
Please use your own due diligence before making any financial or investment decisions.